Hey folks, Russ Bailey here. Welcome to another edition of BrushPile Fishing, the video podcast. We've got a great guest in store today, and I mean super guest. It is something completely different from what we normally do on our podcast. We'll talk a little fishing, but a lot more. Stay tuned. Chuck Moore from Kenton High School here in Ohio joins us. We're going to talk about a special class that they've got going that I personally think every high school in this country should have. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this one. We'll be back with BrushPile Fishing, the podcast. All right, folks, welcome back from the BrushPile studio here in New Knoxville, Ohio. We've got a great guest today. Chuck Moore from Kenton High School, which is probably about 45 minutes from where we're at. Coach, how we doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Russ?
I'm doing good, buddy. The weather's beautiful. You know, we're calling for what, highs in the mid 70s, no humidity. Life is good, man.
Can't beat it here.
So, folks, what we're going to do today, what we're going to talk about, I had the opportunity to meet Chuck at a fishing seminar about a year ago. And then my good buddy Barney Gammon. And if you don't know Barney, check out Bam Fishing on Facebook. He's a guide here in Ohio, and that man can flat out put you on some nice crappie. But Bam called me one day and he says, hey, Coach, that's what we call Chuck. He said, Coach wants to do something to where Barney and I come into his classroom, talk a little bit about fishing, talk about the Brush Pile show and how it got started and everything. So we went over there this spring and we did a little seminar for the kids. It was absolutely fantastic. I got my eyes opened up. And one of the things that I thought was cool was every kid there had the Brush Pile app on his phone and they knew about it. They watched the podcast. But right now we're going to turn this over to Chuck. Coach, tell the folks what you guys have there at Kenton High School.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you and BrushPile Fishing for having me on. And anytime I get to promote our program at Kenton High School, it's a great thing, and really appreciate the opportunity to do that. I'm very lucky and fortunate to teach and live in a community like Kenton in Hardin County. We can do things a lot of communities probably can't do, I've been told. With the conservation class that I have, there's a lot of things we do that some people may not allow you to do in a classroom setting. But what we do in Kenton High School is such an awesome program, and there's such a great interest in it. And our community has really accepted it and has supported it wholeheartedly, from our superintendent, which is Chad Thrush. He's the guy that spearheaded this whole thing. There's a group called the Sportsman Alliance that came in and talked to Chad and basically proposed a conservation class, which is geared more towards science in it, and it would be a science credit and so forth, but there'd be a lot of classroom stuff along with it. It sparked Chad's interest, and after he got done talking to the Sportsman Alliance representative, he came and talked to me, and he's like, Chuck, what would you think about teaching a new class? And I'm 27, 28 years into teaching, and I'm a physical education teacher and a health teacher. And I'm thinking, holy cow, he's wanting to get rid of me. He's going to put me in a different subject area. And I said, let's hear it. And he said about five words, and I raised my hand. I said, I'm in. Yes. And he proposed it, and I don't have a science certificate. So Chad and I sat down and we thought outside the box, which Chad is incredible at. If every school had a superintendent like mine, this world would be incredible. He's a super guy. But he said, let's do it as an elective, and you can teach it, and we'll sort of gear it the curriculum towards what we want to do. I said, sounds great. I said, what do you want to do? He said, you come up with it. So he gave me free rein, and he guided me a little bit and stuff, but we're allowed to do a lot of different things. We set it up into semesters, And our first semester is geared towards hunting, trapping, shooting sports, and wild game processing. And then our second semester is geared towards fishing, kayaking, and boating, and so forth. Um, it started out, we thought we'd start out with one class. Well, when we opened it up, we had a lot of kids interested in it. So we started out with three classes the first year. Now we're up to four classes the second year with a waiting list to get in. And we had
That's
30 some
awesome.
kids that are on a waiting list to get into it next year. So, um, and we put about 60 kids each semester through the conservation classes. So some of those kids are repeat customers. They take the fishing and the hunting, but there are a lot of kids that only want to go into the fishing section, or some kids that just want to go into the hunting section. So we try to accommodate as many kids as we want. And it's just been overwhelming an overwhelming success. Our school board, they're all on board with it. My principal, Jason Jones, my assistant principal, Brad Blue, and of course, my superintendent, they've all been very supportive. So it all starts with that support. And I've got a great support system in Kenton High School, and very fortunate to do what we're able to do.
You know,
Anytime you
one
want to butt in, I love to talk. So
well, one of the things that I want folks to realize is, say, you started out and you talked about the first part of the class, maybe the hunting, and then in the spring it goes into the fishing. So, folks, it's not like they're just setting up some targets out there and doing some bow shooting or whatever. You guys, we talk about hands-on. You guys are bringing meat into the classroom. You're teaching kids how to butcher deer, how to clean fish. This is hands-on experience, and this is being done in your classroom.
absolutely. That was one of the criteria that Chad Thrush, my superintendent, said. He said, Chuck, he said, I don't want these kids taking tests. I don't want these kids having homework. He said, I want their hands dirty. I want their hands on things. If we can get the kids excited about coming to school, we can teach them math, science, English, social studies, and the other classes. I want this to be a class where these kids, if this is the only class that gets them to school, then we've got half the battle won. We can teach them in the other classes. So, um, in the hunting class, like you said, it's not just going out setting some targets up and letting a few arrows fly or whatever. We I break it down, and we try to go through every different hunting aspect out there. Deer season, we talk deer season. I bring in a veteran deer hunter. Cabela's in Columbus has been so grateful or gracious. Um, they've supported our classroom and our conservation efforts. They will send in any representative, any professional as a guest speaker that I ask for. So all I got to do is say, hey,
That's
I'm
awesome.
interested in someone turkey hunting. And the actual manager, one of the managers from Cabela's, came in and spent the entire day talking about turkey hunting. He brought in decoys and mouth calls and taught the kids how to use the mouth calls and stuff, and then the different boxes and slate calls and all that good stuff. Um, I brought in um, duck and goose professionals, and they set up the whole setup. They actually brought their boat in. Mike Fannin, and he's a local guy. He brought his duck boat in and all of his decoys and calls, and did a whole seminar on that. Ben Robinson was a featured guy on the Hunting Public. I don't know if you're aware of the Hunting Public. It's a YouTube sensation. One of the
Yep.
guys that started it was from Wapak, and this guy is, to the younger generation, the hunting public is a big deal. And I met him down at the same seminar I met you at in Columbus, and I was talking to him, and he said, "Hey, I'd love to come in and speak." So he came in and spoke to the kids, and so I'm by doing these conservation classes, I'm able to bring in a lot of different guest speakers that the kids just absolutely love to see, and so forth. So, but also I've actually taken some of my students hunting. I took 3 students deer hunting this year that have never deer hunted before in their life, and each of the 3 got a deer the first day they went out. They were
Nice.
able to bring that deer into my classroom and process it. So we processed the deer right in there. One of my students, I took him turkey hunting. He got a turkey during youth season. He brought that into the classroom and we processed that. Squirrel and rabbit, I've taken them squirrel and rabbit hunting. We bring those into the classroom. Kids got a chance to go through the anatomy of the squirrel and the rabbit and all that stuff and butcher those as well. The nice thing about it is then they're all looking forward to eating it. So
Yes.
I'm lucky enough that I have the old home ec classroom, and it has sinks and ovens and stoves and everything you need for cooking in it. So whatever we butcher, we cook the next day or the next couple of days, and the kids get a chance to test and taste several different wild game recipes. So there's a lot
let me
of great.
stop you. Let me stop you there, Coach, because you're talking about right now. You're in the old home ec room. But when you and I had talked, Kenton is going to hopefully get a brand new school building,
Absolutely.
and there's going to be a classroom for this specifically with what you need in mind. Is that right?
Absolutely. And again, that's where I go back to our community, how supportive our community is for this class. Our superintendent and our school board allowed me to design a classroom with their help that's going to be geared just for this conservation class. So I'm going to have no desks or no chairs in my classroom. I'm going to have stainless steel tables with stools. I'm going to have an electric hoist in the middle of the ceiling, drains in the floor, double overhead garage door where we can back in and hang a deer from, a walk-in cooler.
Nice.
We're also going to put in a 2-acre pond that we can do fish management and aquatic type lessons and potentially use for kayaks as well. So yeah, it's this classroom is going to be pretty darn amazing.
If there is ever a school that is on the cutting edge for something like this, you guys are it right now. That's why
Absolutely.
I could not wait to get you as a guest on the podcast. I retired. I'm a retired police officer. Okay. And I'm one of those guys that can tell you that I have never used algebra in my life that I know of. But these skills that you're teaching the kids right now, 90% or higher are going to go out and they're going to use them in the future when they're done with Kenton High School. I can't emphasize much how important I feel this is to have a program like this. And hopefully other schools or other teachers see this podcast and maybe they contact you on how you got this started because I just think it's wonderful.
It has been great, and I've had several other school systems that have sent someone in to just follow me around for the day and see what we do at Kenton High School, and they've been very, very impressed. I just it takes a special community and it takes the support of everyone, and we're lucky enough to have that at Kenton. Um, and again, the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, they've been absolutely amazing. Our local game warden, Ryan Kennedy, has come into my classroom several times and spoke. Um, the grants that we have received from the Ohio Department of Natural Resources through aquatics grant, step outside grants, NAS, which is the National Archery and High Schools Program grant, has been just amazing. When you go out and buy your fishing license and your hunting license and all your fishing gear and stuff, all that money goes towards education. I mean, or a lot of that money goes towards education. It's absolutely amazing what they do for the educational efforts. And I didn't really realize that to that extent until I started teaching this class and started applying for some of these grants. And it's amazing the opportunities for education out there with the ODNR. They're so supportive. So anytime you buy your hunting and fishing license, enjoy doing that because that money is well spent, and our community is seeing it firsthand.
Yes, sir. Well, Coach, I sure appreciate you joining us today. If someone wanted to reach out to you or they had questions, you guys have a Facebook page, correct?
We do. It's called, I'm not big into technology. My wife sets it up and runs it for me. It's Kenton, Kenton Conservation. And I'm not sure about the whole logistics of it and stuff, but I think if you just type that in, you can find it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I also, and I don't know how much time we got, but I
We got
definitely
as
didn't
much
want
as you
to.
need, Coach.
All right, I definitely wanted to make sure everyone knows Russ came in and our kids were so pumped when he came in. We leading up to that, we've always watched the BrushPile Fishing um, YouTube fishing channel and stuff like that. So they were very familiar with Russ. And when I told them last year that I met Russ in Columbus at a seminar, and I said, there's a chance he's going to come in and speak. And they're like, there's no way he's coming in. He's got this painted up truck and boat, and he's big time. And I'm like, yeah, he is. I said, but this guy loves kids and he wants to give back. And I said, he's going to come in and speak. And fortunately, one of my really good friends is Barney Gammon, and Barney's one of your close friends. And just communicating with Barney, and I said, hey, I talked to Russ, and he said and Barney's like, yeah, all I gotta do is get hold of him. He'd come in a heartbeat. And I said, let's do it. So, but when Russ came in, it was awesome. He drove his truck, and of course I had him park his truck right in the middle of the school lawn, right in front of the school. And I had tons of people going by, and they're all, the buzz in around town was, there's a professional fisherman at the high school today. And it just, anything to promote our program we do. And it was really, really cool. And the kids got to take some pictures with Russ, and he brought some really cool prizes in for the kids, and had some raffles and drawings for them, and one of his signature poles, and autographed them and stuff. And it was really cool. And I can't thank you enough, and Barney Gammon enough, for coming in, because Barney spoke as well. But you guys just giving back to the profession that you love. And I know that, being a police officer, you're a public servant forever, and you still are. And with your brush pile fishing, that's what you're doing now, is you're serving the public, and you're getting the message out there. And it's a great thing that you're doing, and I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to having you back each year if that's still an option.
You're more than welcome. And I don't know if you noticed, but me and Barney enjoyed it as much as the kids did. I had a blast that day. And absolutely, it's like I told you this year, anytime you have that and you want us there, man, we're going to be there. I enjoyed the heck out of it. And like I say, when every kid starts showing me their brush pile app, and that the cool thing too, you talk about the truck being there, the kids wanted their picture inside the truck, and it was, man, I had a ball that day. I had a ball.
Oh, it was great. It was great, but it's something we look forward to. And anytime I can bring in someone like yourself, the excitement just raises.
Well, I appreciate that. And Coach, I enjoyed talking to you today. Thank you so much, because like I say, you guys are the cutting edge in this program. I think that this needs to go nationwide, and hopefully others are going to see this that are in position to maybe get something started for their kids in their school system. So, man, thank you so much for joining me.
Russ, thank you. And I really appreciate you coming in and allowing me to talk about our program. It's a great place, and it's a great place to be in Kenton, Ohio, and it's a great program.
All right. Coach Moore, folks, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Before we take off, we talked about the BrushPile app, so let's hear a little word about the app right now. The new BrushPile Fishing Show companion app will change the way you watch a show, but more importantly, it will change the way you educate yourself on crappie fishing. This is so much more than just an app. It will be your go-to source for weather, brushpile fishing shows, crappie fishing tips, and your own handheld logbook. There will also be contact information for guides from past episodes, special offers from our sponsors, and tips that range from simple to advanced. Download the new BrushPile Fishing Companion app. It's free for Android and Apple users. It's everything a crappie angler needs. Make sure you check that out. Well, folks, we're about ready to wrap things up. Now, I do want to say one thing. Some of you have seen my little teaser post on Facebook about a new plastic that I've been working with Crappie Magnet on. And I got to take it to Buckeye Lake. I showed you some of the results. Man, it was absolutely awesome. And I know people want to see it. All I can say is we've refined it and refined it and refined it. I think we have one more move to make on it. Jeff Smith's been working. And once we get that, we're going to show it. It should be on the market soon. We don't even have a name for that jig yet, but man, it's outstanding. So I can't wait. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Check out Kenton Conservation on Facebook. This is a wonderful program. It is something that every high school needs to have in there because it's hands-on experience on things that these kids are actually going to do when they graduate. So I hope you enjoyed it. Something a lot different than what we normally do here on BrushPile Fishing. But you stay tuned. We'll be back again with BrushPile Fishing, the video podcast.